3:24 a.m. The Strait of Hormuz shatters into a red alert. The Aegis radar on the USS Abraham Lincoln sweeps the dark, detecting a first red blip, then a second, third, and fourth, appearing in rapid succession. In a heartbeat, the screen explodes into a storm of 47 targets, shredding the waves at Mach 0.9. From 200 meters out, a swarm of drones and cruise missiles is screaming toward the heart of the U.S. Navy. The clock is ticking, a 94-second engagement window. A billion-dollar behemoth and thousands of sailors stand on the edge. Either the curtain of steel rises now, or they all become a heap of scrap metal on the ocean floor. At the world's most volatile energy choke point, the cards are on the table, and the opening gambit has just been made. The tension inside the Lincoln's Combat Direction Center has hit its absolute limit. For 4 brutal weeks, Iran has been relentlessly tightening its tactical noose around the Strait of Hormuz, threatening to choke off 20% of the world's oil. While U.S. paratroopers and special forces scrambled to protect the coastlines, the Lincoln sits right at the epicenter of a global economic powder keg. To put it in perspective, we're talking about 840,000 barrels of oil flowing through this choke point every single hour. If just one of those incoming ghosts hits its mark, gas prices in Los Angeles won't just rise, they will double by sunrise, and the billion-dollar Lincoln could end its mission as a heap of scrap metal on the ocean floor. But the real nightmare isn't just the sheer number of targets, it's the twisted creativity behind them. For the past 3 months, Houthi rebels have been silently preparing a poor man's apocalypse in the dark. Instead of stealth bombers, they are using commercial DJI drones modified into suicide assassins with 50-kilogram warheads. This is a digital jailbreak of modern warfare. 3:28 a.m. They route these drones just like hackers trying to play cracked free fire on a cheap Android phone, using low-cost AI to bypass encrypted GPS locks. It's 1,000 hacks squaring off against a $13 billion giant. They are betting that this disposable swarm can overwhelm the world's most advanced integrated defense system, proving that in modern warfare, a smart hack can be just as lethal as a cruise missile. 3:30 a.m. The Aegis tactical display, usually a model of surgical precision, suddenly shatters into a chaotic smear of flickering red icons. The Houthi drones have executed their first clever maneuver. They are hugging the massive steel hulls of 300-meter oil tankers, bleeding their radar signatures into these islands of steel on the Lincoln's monitors. Lethal threats and neutral merchant ships merge into a single indistinguishable mass of pixels. The commander's hand hovers over the fire control, frozen. A single missile hitting a neutral tanker would turn the Strait of Hormuz into a global political graveyard. GPS spoofing pulses continue to batter the fleet sensors, generating hundreds of ghost targets for every real drone. It's a digital hall of mirrors at Mach 0.9, forcing the U.S. Navy to play a high-stakes game of who's who while the clock ticks down. The E-2D Hawkeye screams into a steep dive from its overhead station, its massive radar dome slaving every sensor in the fleet to a single purified data stream through Link 16. The deception begins to fail. At the perimeter, F-35C Lightning IIs bank hard, their distributed aperture systems ignoring the radar noise to lock on to the microscopic infrared glow of drone engines. These thermal signatures don't lie. Data pulses back to the Lincoln, and the Aegis AI begins scrubbing the battlefield in nanoseconds. One by one, the digital ghosts are stripped away like a hot knife through wax, leaving 47 cold, lethal threats illuminated clearly against the black backdrop of the ocean. 3:32 a.m. The Lincoln's port side erupts in a deafening roar of steam and fire. 2 FA-18 Super Hornets are violently slung into the night by the steam catapults just 90 seconds from the initial alarm. Below them, the escorting destroyer's vertical launch cells blow their hatches in a series of synchronized explosions. RIM 162 Sea Sparrow missiles scream into the sky, their rocket motors lighting up the horizon for miles. It's a systematic harvest. AMO-GAMs shred the lead wave of the attack, turning $8,000 rooted Android drones into a falling rain of plastic and burning fuel. 29 targets are erased from existence in a matter of heartbeats. The sky is a graveyard of cheap tech meeting Aegis and video-level processing power, but the victory is short-lived. The radar suddenly writs out a new, more desperate warning. The first wave was merely the bait. 3:35 a.m. An ear-piercing electronic shriek rips through every headset in the Combat Direction Center. The Aegis display, the fleet's $12 billion nervous system, doesn't just flicker, it explodes into a solid wall of white static. High-powered shore-based emitters have just completely burned out every frequency band.
The 18 remaining targets, including heavy cruise missiles and second-generation suicide drones, are shrieking through the darkness at 700 miles per hour. They vanish into thin air. The Lincoln, a 100,000-ton giant, is now like swinging arms blindly in a dark room full of knives. Houthi emitters scream across every frequency like a jet engine roaring in a silent library, completely drowning out all radar scanning efforts. This digital blizzard causes even the most modern sensors to lose their orientation. 3:37 a.m. In the middle of the night, the EA-18G Growler, the ultimate electronic predator, banks into a sharp high-G turn. Inside the cockpit, the pilot's vision narrows as his flight suit inflates under the pressure. He activates the next-generation jammer pods under the wings. They don't just pulse, they glow with an invisible energy fury. A concentrated, devastating electronic counterattack sweeps straight at the coordinates of the shore emitters. The impact is instantaneous. The electronic screaming falls silent. It's as if the Growler just put Sony noise-canceling headphones on the entire fleet, punching a hole of silence through the wall of interference, restoring digital vision just as the targets close in on the inner defense perimeter. Reaction time is shrinking by every millisecond. Sensor fusion takes control. Even while the main radar is struggling to calibrate, the F-35Cs have transmitted an unjammable 8K infrared stream directly into the pilots' helmets. The battlefield is no longer a flickering radar screen. It is a high-definition destruction zone. While Houthi operators stare at screens flashing connection errors, the U.S. Navy is observing them with Netflix quality. Every target is marked in glowing red, their flight paths predicted by the Lincoln Silicon brain with terrifying accuracy. The enemy is plunged into darkness, but for the Lincoln, the night has never been clearer. 18 targets are locked. The order to fire is now just a formality. 3:39 a.m. While the sky is a chaotic canvas of fire and static, a quieter, deadlier threat is creeping through the shallow, murky waters of the Strait of Hormuz. 2 Gadir-class submarines supplied by Iran and stripped of all identifying marks are silently closing in from the ocean floor. They are moving ghosts, exploiting the acoustic shadow of the underwater mountain ranges to approach. They are targeting the fleet's Achilles heel, waiting for a single opening to deliver a fatal blow from below. While the entire world is fixated on the sky, they rely on the chaos above to conceal their movements, moving extremely slowly to avoid creating air bubbles, hiding within layers of silt and sand. But they have made a fatal mistake. They believe they are the only predators here. 3:40 a.m. At a depth of 30 meters, a Virginia-class attack submarine had been lying in wait for 48 hours, silent as a tomb. Inside the American vessel, the sonar room was a space of